Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Vasundhara. I make content around lifestyle, beauty, hauls, and my new puppy Chiggles. And I recently started a series called Thinking Out Loud, and I think a lot of you liked it because a lot of you dropped me comments and DMs. And अगर कोई जाके इतनी एफर्ट लगा रहा है कि वो मैसेज करे तो आई एम अज्यूमिंग दैट दिस कंटेंट इज़ रेजोनेटिंग टू सम लेवल विद यू गाइस. Today, we will be speaking about women who choose to build a career or work for a living and homemakers. I have been observing, I meet a lot of people of late and I chat with a lot of people. So I'd say I have decent amount of insight on this topic. So to give you a little bit of background, I am an entrepreneur and I run 2 companies, one agency and one coffee brand. Started working very early on in life, right out of college. And I think I was age 19 or 20 when I started working. My husband Sandeep and I actually started working together on both these brands. And so we both have been people with careers owing to the fact that we were very young and we had to start earning money. And apart from that, we both have also been homemakers, and there are home chores that are split between him and me. And ये काफ़ी fluid structure रहता है where if he has a heavy schedule on his work front, I do most of the home chores, and if it's the other way around, then obviously he takes over and does most of the looking after the home. So technically we both are career people and we both are also homemakers. Now to give you my background, I personally I have worked very hard, and the millennial word that's hustle. I've hustled a lot in my 20s and I don't like that word. I don't like that culture, and I worked so hard not only because it brings me joy, but also because circumstances pushed me to work like a horse on cocaine. On the other hand, I also really look forward to a life where I can be somebody who I actually don't like to label, but society में इसको homemaker बोलते हैं. तो I would love to experience a life where I am a homemaker and I can slow down and I can choose to do more of the things that I truly wish to do without having a client or a boss on my head. तो ये वीडियो मैं इसलिए बना रही हूँ क्योंकि इन द लास्ट मैनी ईयर्स आई हैव रियलाइज दैट वेन एवर आई एम स्पीकिंग टू अ फेलो creator or a friend, or there's so much talking about it on Instagram as well. A lot of them are in a phase of their lives or by choice are choosing to be homemakers, and they are on a sabbatical from their careers. Some are newly married, some have just entered the phase of parenthood, and some are just taking a break in general. And I often hear those ये specific video women के बारे में we'll speak about men in another video maybe, but I have often heard, I think 9 out of 10 of them say that we are not doing enough. Like मैं तो कुछ कर ही नहीं रही हूँ घर पे, मैं तो काफ़ी ही नहीं कर रही हूँ, पता नहीं पूरा दिन कहाँ निकल जाता है. मैं उठती हूँ, फिर something happens, घर में ये 10 काम होते हैं, और उसके बाद फिर I don't get time for my passion or for my work or whatever else. But the common thing that I noticed is the fact that they are all working. It's just invisible, unpaid labor. अगर आप सुबह उठ के अपने पौधों को पानी दे रहे हो, अपने बच्चे को स्कूल भेज रहे हो, और खाना बना रहे हो, घर संभाल रहे हो, घर की सफाई कर रहे हो, whatever else, ये एक कैपिटलिस्टिक सिस्टम में इसको काम नहीं माना जाता है. दिस इज़ स्टिल वर्क डन. And I will clarify that these are my opinions and different people will have different opinions, and you are most welcome to drop in yours in the comment section below. But as a person who's worked for over what now, I think 13 to 14 years, and I personally don't look at somebody who is choosing to be a homemaker versus somebody who is hustling at their workspace. इसमें से कोई भी inferior और superior नहीं है. ये 2 अलग choices हैं. And also a huge aspect of this, similar to my case, is that काफ़ी लोगों को ये choice का मौका नहीं मिलता. Everybody does not have the luxury to choose if they want to work or not. Homemakers are actually working very hard, and a lot of the days of the week, I am a homemaker, and I look after my puppy, I look after the home, I decide what has to be cooked. Sometimes I'm cooking myself, I plan the groceries, and this is actually very sneaky work because it's never ending. So वो I think लॉकडाउन में सबने रियलाइज़ कर लिया कि बर्तन कभी भी फुली साफ़ नहीं होते हैं. आप जितने भी सफाई कर लो, there will always be chores in the home that are pending, and it is sneaky work that gaslights you into believing that you can work 10 hours a day, and this is manual physical work. You can work 10 hours a day and you will never be fully done with work. And then as a female homemaker, you will often pause and finally sit down, and then the guilt will creep in that have I even done anything. और मैं ये उस perspective से बोल रही हूँ of all my the multiple people I have met in the last few years who are working all day and not believing that they're doing enough, and they all happen to be women. Personally, never like to judge people on the basis of their work. If it's happening at a subconscious level, that is a different thing. But I have met multiple people who have been homemakers and have had the most warm personality with so much presence and so much care to give in that moment, and such hands-on people. And I've met, of course, very few women in my career who I have good things to say about, but that's obviously my experience and also dependent on the industry that I belong to. But there have been a lot of women on both sides who do exceptionally well. Now, of course, in a capitalistic society, unfortunately so, the person who is bringing home the money is valued most, and unfortunately ऐसा ही होता है, and that is the bit that is so problematic and sad. तो मेरे हिसाब से there is this invisible labor going on, which is, say, taking care of a baby, being a caretaker, being there for emotional support for everybody in the house, be it an old person, a baby, a pet, labor like household chores, etc. All of this ये हो गया invisible labor. आप labor तो कर रहे हो, आप काम भी कर रहे हो, but at the end of the day, you are not paid for it, and thus the cycle of feeling like I am not enough begins. हम अपनी सोसाइटी में और इस कैपिटलिस्टिक स्ट्रक्चर में अनफॉर्चुनेटली इसको बहुत ज़्यादा नॉर्मलाइज कर चुके हैं, एंड धीरे धीरे ऑफ कोर्स एवरीबडी इज़ ड्रिवन बाय career and money, and there are fewer people who are choosing to remain home and look after each other, men or women. And society is actually in general very good at gaslighting us to believe that we are not doing enough as women ever. For the working women such as myself again, we literally work 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and after that we come home to a home full of duties that we have to fulfill at home. And I know a lot of people say that men should pitch in equally, which I agree on, but I look at this entire topic very differently. I'll be very truthful. I am by nature not a very ambitious person, and if I have worked, it's either been out of fear of going broke or duties that I had to fulfill as a person running 2 companies. And I met a partner who is a lot like me, and we both know what we are earning the money for, and we both want to be homemakers, and we would love to have a life where we don't have to slog it so much. मैं इंस्टाग्राम पे इतनी बार देखती हूँ दैट दिस एंटायर वेव ऑफ द मॉडर्न डे फेमिनिज्म, again, this video is not about that. I'm not going to get into what I feel about it, but people are always praising women who are doing it all, and women are often told that you can have it all. And I personally feel like when you are having it all, maybe you are kind of missing out on everything. Like, for example, if I am to ace it at my workplace, but I also have a baby to look after, and I also have a home to come back to and clean up, then I automatically am not giving that kind of presence of mind to all 5 aspects of my life, right? So वही बात है, मतलब I personally feel that we women have been almost gaslit by the system to believe that we must do it all, we must have it all. चाहे वापस आगे पीठ टूट रही हो, we are anxious, we are dysregulated, but वो urban life में एक bare minimum हो गया है to have it all. इसको अगर दूसरे पर्सपेक्टिव से देखा जाए, मे बी सिस्टमैटिक चेंजेस आर नीडेड सिस्टम की तरफ से, ताकि हमको डू इट ऑल ना करना पड़े, राइट? अगर सब ही we're doing it all, acing it all, but everybody is anxious, everybody is dysregulated, everybody is needing either some form of drug or alcohol or ongoing medication to just stay afloat. How is that healthy, and how are we all having it all? In all of this, there are multiple women that I personally know, and I'm pretty sure you also know some of them, who have just had babies. And that is one of the hardest things a human body can do, to create another life. And the minute they have had their baby, the time that follows, a lot of women, and again I'm talking about urban women, a lot of women are going through the guilt again of not either being back to their careers or not working enough or not springing back to work early enough. And in all of that, I don't understand how is that fair on the lady and the baby. And why do we look at career or the money that you bring home as the only parameter to gauge how successful or how powerful one is? ये मेरा पर्सनल ओपिनियन है, बट ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं होना चाहिए. Irrespective of what you bring to the table, as people say, in a marriage, in a relationship, in your life, people bring in different elements into relationships. Somebody may be really good at what they do on the career front. Another person may be a very, very compassionate person who brings in a sense of home and comfort and balance into a space or a home. And काफ़ी इनमें से काफ़ी traits monetizable या capitalize नहीं हो पाते हैं, और unfortunately हमारी capitalistic society में जो पैसा लाता है उसको ही ज़्यादा importance or power दी जाती है, and that is so messed up in my opinion. Women actually often overextend themselves. They overpromise. They of course get underpaid, and they are willing to work way harder for way lesser an amount because there is so much more to prove. And frankly, this is a race that I'm not even a participant in, and I have to give it to myself that even as a 19-year-old, I was like, ये रेस तो मुझे भागनी ही नहीं है, मेरे को क्यों भगाया जा रहा है इस रेस में? Just like a lot of people from my background, I was also brought up in a kind of culture where career, work, studies, the be all and end all. And I only after slogging it for 10-12 years and feeling like everything is off alignment in my life and my body, did I realize that I may be running a race that I don't even want to be a participant in. Again, this is a touchy thing to speak about, but there are so many reels where people say that women must be independent and hyper independent, and they must have their own finances sorted. They must have their own financial income source. But I personally don't really know where does that kind of sense of इसका जो root cause तो actually fear और anxiety हो गया ना, मतलब डर is the root cause of this. And अगर आप थोड़ा Marxist Feminism पे गूगल करें और पढ़ें, यू वुड रियलाइज़ कि एक्चुअली खुद से पैसे कमाने से ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं फिक्स होने वाली है. आई नो इनफ women who are financially independent and have still been in scenarios which have been abusive, and abuse doesn't always come from your home, though in most cases it does, but abuse can also come from a workplace. And I personally don't feel that the only way to get I don't even like the word empowered frankly, but the only way to get empowered or feel free is to do it while making your own money. Interestingly enough, इसका example देती हूँ. While I was running at least our agency at that time, our coffee brand was still relatively new. But while I was running the agency with my husband Sandeep, we both were doing pretty well. We were working with really big clients, and there were a lot of big projects going on. And money भी अच्छा खासा ही आ रहा था. But I felt empowered was the last thing I felt. And for me, it's very important what my day is looking like. If I am earning money but I am in touch with 5 clients who are जो बदतमीज़ी से बात कर रहे हैं या फिर जिनको तौर तरीका नहीं पता है how to deal with other human beings, वो empowerment कैसे हुआ, right? So तब पैसा आ रहा था but I was not feeling free or happy in my life. Versus COVID के बाद I was on a 3 to 4 month sabbatical from work, and I was hardly taking on any collaborations for my Instagram as well. Technically, basically मेरे पास कोई भी income source नहीं थी अपनी. And I started to realize that I was I was pushed to slow down, and I realized how much slowing down I actually needed. उस दौरान I actually lived a really nice life, and that felt like actual empowerment to me, which I had not experienced most of my 20s. So I had to fall very, very ill to actually feel like this is maybe what I want from life. A slow life like this. Nobody's screaming at me for deadlines and timelines, and this to me feels freeing. I don't want to speak a lot about Marxist feminism over here क्योंकि पहली बात मेरे एक्चुअली इम्पोस्टर सिंड्रोम है, एंड इवन दो मैं इस पे बहुत काफ़ी डिसेंट अमाउंट ऑफ पढ़ाई कर चुकी हूँ, बट आई डोंट वांट टू टच अपॉन टॉपिक्स दैट आई कांट बी अ 9 on 10 एक्यूरेट एंड करेक्ट ऑन. मैं पॉडकास्ट में हमेशा देखती हूँ पीपल जस्ट ब्लैबर वट एवर, एंड आई हैव दिस इशू कह लो या ट्रेट कह लो, बट आई हैव टू बी लाइक आई हैव टू बी वेरी करेक्ट व्हेन आई से समथिंग. तो मैं इस टॉपिक में खुद बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं घुसना चाहती, बट दिस डिबेट ऑफ वर्किंग women versus homemakers, ये एक्चुअली मार्क्सिस्ट फेमिनिज्म कहता है कि capitalism is actually the driving force of oppressing women, and it is not patriarchy itself. And down to reading up on it and actually letting it sit within me to understand what it really means. मैं इंस्टाग्राम पे भी कमेंट सेक्शन में रील्स पे बहुत डिबेट्स देखती हूँ ऑफ पीपल fighting if women should work, whether they should be financially independent, whether they should choose to be homemakers, whether whatever यार, बहुत नॉइज़ है इंटरनेट पे honestly. But मुझे frankly ऐसा लगता है कि there are so many job roles, mostly in the caretaking space, and including being a homemaker, the caretaking space in the medical fraternity, the people who are there, the social workers, the people who are there in the mental health sector. They are massively underpaid, and they contribute not just financially but holistically in so many ways that we cannot even imagine. तो उस पूरे सेगमेंट की वर्कफोर्स को अंडर पे करना या अनपेड रखना और फिर उनको कन्विंस करना दैट दे आर नॉट डूइंग इनफ, ये बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लमेटिक है. मेरे हिसाब से ये पूरी एक सिस्टमैटिक इशू है, एंड we all enact whatever our little understanding, and our understanding of these topics can also obviously change and evolve through different phases of our lives. लेकिन what I mean is, never let yourself feel that you are lesser if you are not churning money in the moment. And if you're choosing to be a homemaker, do not let anybody convince you that you are not working. आपका काम जो भी हो, whether you are a CEO or a homemaker, a full-time homemaker or a mother, the amount of respect you receive should not be valued on that. It is ingrained deeply into our psyche. A lot of us are conditioned to believe कि हम काम करने या करियर बनाने के लिए ही पैदा हुए हैं, and let's face it, we are from a developing country, so most of us millennials were brought up in a manner where talks about what career line we choose would start in like whatever class 4, 5, 6 की इसका तो passion इस direction में लग रहा है, तो ये तो शायद engineer बनेगा या ये शायद doctor बनेगी or whatever. But I personally feel that modern day women have been scammed. Like, we have been scammed to a whole new degree, and a lot of people on Instagram also, I think, recognize it. Through the lockdown, we all got a breather, and we all realized that we are slogging it. और इस साइकिल का कोई एंड ही नहीं दिख रहा. What are the ways that we can help or change our outlook so that we stop judging people? I don't feel any of us should be judging a person on the basis of whether they are a homemaker or an entrepreneur or in a 9 to 5 job or a CEO. जॉब की पोस्ट पे भी मत जज करो, और क्या काम करते हैं, कितने पैसे लाते हैं वो घर में, उस बेसिस पे भी मत जज करो. यू जज द पर्सन ऑन देयर वैल्यूज़, द वे दे आर बिहेविंग विद यू, द वे दे आर ट्रीटिंग अदर्स अराउंड you, the way they are treating people who are societally at a lower post than them. As a working woman, maybe stand your ground. I say, and I think this entire controversy of Deepika Padukone also saying that she's a new mom and wants to do an 8-hour shift, and that is I think a topic that needs to be spoken about a lot more. The way women biologically also as well as emotionally are built is very different from men. So what an average month for a man at his workplace should look like, it can't be the same for a woman. And it should not. It actually works against women in most cases. Say, be supportive of the people, the women in your life, irrespective of what they're doing. And don't support the burnout culture, because this is actually driving everybody crazy. And if you are a working woman and you feel that you have to come back and get down to working on home chores, I feel you should discuss with your partner that if there are 8 things to do, maybe he can help with 4, so that so that there isn't any resentment. And it's in general not fair if you are working at the workplace and then you're coming back and doing the home chores. Always remember, the system is there to scam us and gaslight us. Don't let yourself get driven by ego, because that is what careers do in a lot of cases. There is power, money, ego, and इस सब में हमारी ज़िंदगी कब निकल जाएगी हमें honestly पता भी नहीं लगेगा. Think about unpaid labor. I often get reminded of also how artists have it hard in life, because very similarly, good art is not valued in a capitalistic setup. And I have been an artist myself, and I stopped creating art also because, or also like kind of monetizing out of creating art, because I realized that exploitation वहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा है. So to know your value is so important. I see a lot of my creator friends, female creator friends who are there on Instagram taking on work, because हम तो homemaker हैं, तो मतलब we'll take on campaigns that are paying us peanuts or very little, and that is not right. When you start to value yourself, and when you stop talking negatively about yourself or devaluing your service or work, is when the other party or the external world will start to see the value in you. मेरा actually इस चीज़ को लेके फंडा बहुत सिंपल और क्लियर है, दैट हम एक कैपिटलिस्टिक सोसाइटी में रहते हैं, और जो भी ट्रेंड या सोसाइटी का बिहेवियर कैपिटल गेन कराएगा, मतलब प्रॉफिट्स कराएगा कंपनी को, कंपनीज़ को और कॉर्पोरेशंस को और MNCs को और गवर्नमेंट्स को, वो पुश किया जाएगा. एंड अ ह्यूज एस्पेक्ट ऑफ what is problematic with, according to me, what is problematic with the boss girl era, I think यही बोलते हैं, I'm confusing it, I think मैंने सही बोला है, the boss girl era, or the fact that the different waves of how feminism have come in, it started out with a very very different situation. The meaning of feminism initially बहुत ज़्यादा अलग था, और धीरे धीरे वो ऐसा हो गया दैट हाइपर इंडिपेंडेंस पे ज़्यादा रिलाई करता है कि मैं अपने खुद के पैसे बनाऊंगी तो फिर आई विल बी independent and I will be free and I will not have any kind of strings attached to anybody in society. But I don't know, at the end of the day we all like being cared for and loved, and इतना hyper independence लेके कैसी ही लाइफ होगी, आई मीन मुझे नहीं पता, मुझे तो आई डोंट वांट टू एक्सपीरियंस दैट काइंड ऑफ अ लाइफ वेयर आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ मनी बट नथिंग एल्स दैट होल्ड्स मीनिंग इन माई लाइफ. दैट फेमिनिज्म पे भी इतने मैं पॉडकास्ट वगैरह देखती हूँ, और 9 out of 10 of them make zero sense to me, quite honestly. And that is not how you feel empowered. That is not how you demand respect. That is not how, I mean, you should be getting respect irrespective of whether you're making money or not. And you ideally should be getting paid irrespective of whether, whatever your work is, whether you're cooking at home. Because see, I mean, at the end of the day, if I cook for my family, I mean, right now my family is just Chiggles and Sandeep. But if I have a family of, say, 5 people, and if I am cooking, nobody pays me for that. But if I hire a cook, उनको तो पे किया जाता है ना. तो आप मतलब वो देख रहे हो, it's just so deep rooted and systematic that we as women have been gaslit into working all day and then not receiving respect. And controversial, but I feel that even if money is involved, to some degree it can change the scene. And sure, like financial independence helps a lot of people get out of toxic relationships and situations. But what I mean is that that is not the be all and end all. There are multiple people in toxic situations and relationships, irrespective of how much money they're making. होम मेकर तो एक्चुअली यार वो मैं रील देख रही थी कि होम मेकर साउंड्स लाइक अ मिक्सी ब्रांड. होम मेकर इज़ अ फैंसियर वर्ड ऑफ हाउस वाइफ, राइट? मुझे तो हाउस वाइफ में भी कुछ गड़बड़ नहीं लगती. आई वुड लव टू बी अ हाउस वाइफ, बट यही ना, मुझे मतलब लेबलिंग नहीं पसंद इतना सोसाइटी में. दिस इज़ एवरीथिंग इज़ ब्रांडेड इन अ वे. तो एनी वे, what I was saying is that when I started growing up, तो there was, everybody would talk about what is she going to do, what is she going to study, and that's not just particularly to my case, but everybody at that time generally did not ask ki, how have you been, what are you thinking, what did you eat today, but everybody would be like क्या पढ़ाई कर रही है, and बड़े होके क्या बनेगी, and what are you going to study, will there be enough money here, ये वो वगैरह वगैरह. बट मुझे ना ऐसा लगता है कि मेरे करियर ने ऑनेस्टली मुझे जितनी एंग्जाइटी दी है, मेरे को किसी और चीज़ ने नहीं दी है ज़िंदगी में. एंड दैट ऑल्सो गोज़ टू शो दैट सिस्टमैटिकली with the corporates coming in and how the work culture has shifted so much in the last 10-15 years, that workplaces have gotten way more toxic than they were when I started my career. And of course, there people just talk about it now. Earlier, everybody would just put their head down and hustle, like that was the thing to do at that time. But I'm glad people speak about toxic workplaces, a toxic senior, a toxic boss, or whatever. I think a career is to be able to have money, and money is so that you can have the resources to do whatever you want in life freely. And if we start associating our identity, self-worth, our values, our value to that money that comes in, then everything is lopsided in my opinion. I actually am guilty of this myself also, but I have so many women friends who are like, यार पता नहीं मैं ना इतना ज़्यादा थक गई हूँ, and I am tired and I'm exhausted and I haven't even done anything today, anything productive. I'm not doing anything with my life. And then I'm like, what did you do since the morning? And then they list down some 50 tasks that they sent their kid to school, they got the child's tiffin prepared, and they were looking after the home and cooking for everyone. And then I have to make them pause. And all of this I'm doing for myself also, frankly, because मैं भी दिन में 50 टास्क करती हूँ, and then I feel like I haven't done anything productive. And वो actually एक बहुत deep rooted system का issue है, where whatever you do is never enough. And then I have to make them slow down and tell them that, see, you have done some 50 tasks in the day, so don't say that you haven't been productive. Even if you watered just one plant and made one cup of tea for yourself, that was being productive. What do you mean you haven't been productive? I think you mean that you haven't been productive in the sense that you haven't churned money, maybe. This cheez mein, I have to thank Sandeep, because he and I, touch wood, are just so well aligned on this belief system of ours कि घर में पैसा आना है, अब जो भी लाए वो, और जितना भी लाए, collectively as a family we bring X amount of money in so that we can live XYZ kind of a life. There are literally days when I mean every day of mine is actually very very hectic, whether it's on the work front or just daily chores. And मैं Instagram पे भी काफ़ी बार stories लगाती रहती हूँ बीच में जब भी time मिलता है. But I like cooking also. I like micromanaging my puppy's food intake also. I'm doing the operations for the coffee business also, and the marketing, and there's just some 10,000 tasks. And every day by the evening I'm like, मैंने आज कुछ अचीव ही नहीं करा और कुछ काफ़ी करा ही नहीं है. And then like a few weeks back, Sandeep told me, you list down in the first 3 hours of your day that what all did you do. And when I actually listed down, I realized मेरे वो 3 घंटे कहाँ गए थे. Because of the system being this way, where only moneyed paid work is valued, there are so many times when there are relatives and family that keeps telling say a woman that अरे जाके कुछ करो अपनी life का, like okay, you've had a baby or whatever, but start looking for a job. Or as if creating a baby and looking after a baby isn't work. It is not just work. It is probably the most important kind of work that actually biologically exists. We did not come here to create PPTs, right? In this universe, we came here to actually reproduce, and so that our species goes on. तो एक पूरी सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी को ऐसा गैसलाइट कर देना कि वो बच्चा करके उसका ध्यान रख रहे हैं और वो काम नहीं है, दैट इज़ सम नेक्स्ट लेवल मैनिपुलेशन बाय द सिस्टम. I actually stumbled upon a video recently of why women are in huge numbers quitting their careers, I think in the US or wherever, And I frankly can see that happening here as well. When the workplace doesn't value you, they don't give you flexible work hours. They don't want to acknowledge that creating a baby and bringing a child or a life into this world is an important job to do, with a lot of scope of work. Then why will those women feel valued in the workplace? Firstly, a lot of people are just going to like choose the route of being self-employed, running their own businesses, even if they're making way lesser money. But I mean, आप खुद ही सोचो यार, why would you want to land up at a place where you're not feeling respected day in and day out? People who I have met in my career, who mostly of the corporate sector, I see people who are drained out, who are pissed off, and who are just not in a happy space. But as per society, they are the people who are looked at as empowered individuals. And if that is what empowerment looks like, thank you very much. I don't want that kind of a life where I'm wasting a single day of my life feeling so rotten. Feel that in all of this, a huge part of the society and women get sandwiched, where if somebody actually traditionally wanted to be a homemaker, and they are pushed to build a career and slowly find themselves in a situation where their to-be partner or a potential partner, their families, the partner's families, everybody is valuing them on the basis of what they earn and what they do for a living. That, I don't know where that really heads. Like, that is problematic in my opinion, because a lot of people end up just doing what they don't want to do in the first place and not what comes to them naturally. सो फ्रैंकली ये बस एक बहुत ही टॉक्सिक सी नेवर एंडिंग रेस क्रिएट कर देता है, वे मतलब देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ women who want to slow down in their 30s, 40s, or maybe even 20s, and become mothers and take care of their babies and their homes and not hustle so hard at the workplace. There was also a reel of where Sadhguru is talking about something about whether women should enter the workspace or not. But मुझे तो मतलब उनकी बातें, I'm not a Sadhguru follower, or I haven't watched a lot of what he says, so I don't know. But in that specific video, I'm saying whatever he did mention made sense. And in the reel below that, I realized that that's not how people feel. Like, most majority of people feel that entering the workforce is the only way for women to feel empowered. Opinion is such that actually the capitalistic structure, or way before that actually, men were made to enter the workforce, and their minds were effed over, frankly. Their lives were effed over, whether they see it that way or not. And then much later, women were also added into the workforce, and now we see that everybody's anxious and not happy with their lives. So something at a very deep level is obviously going wrong, and very clearly I'm trying to be very politically correct right now, but I don't feel working very hard is the only short way of making you gain respect or feel like you're living a fulfilled life. A lot of times I also read people saying that my partner doesn't respect me if I don't have a career or I'm not earning money. And I mean, of course, everybody's value system and beliefs are different. Maybe there, in some parts, could also be like a financial strain on the family where it is required. But if you're with a partner who can't understand where you're coming from or see you for who you are, then maybe that's just not the right person to be with. It's a tricky topic for me to talk about, and let me know your comments whether you agree or disagree, and I'd love to have a conversation with you in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching this video, which very quickly turned into a slight rant. But thank you so much for watching, and do consider subscribing to my channel and following me on Instagram. I'm called that_caffeinated_girl on Instagram as well. And up until next time, bye.